Coming to you once again from our top secret broadcasting bunker here at Area 52. Pastor Mike here. Good to be with you today. I want to say thank you to everybody that prayed for me, sent cards, just letters of encouragement, emails of encouragement, things like that. Some of the comments that were made on Facebook and on the blog. I really appreciate it. Concerning my recent surgical procedure it's called a sleeve gastrectomy. Is what it is. I was getting in a sort of a dangerous way as far as my weight is concerned, and it's just the outpour of understanding from everybody is just really appreciated. There are some people in this world who do not struggle with what they put in their mouth. There are people who are in this world genetically do not have problems with being overweight. It's not that they condition themselves. Some people do, but they just don't have that issue. I am from a big line. My dad, they called him Big Youngin' back in the old days. He was 6'7". He weighed probably close to 300 pounds. Then he ended up with diabetes and had to retire. My son is the same size as I am, Matthew. He's 6'3". I have two nephews. My sister's boys, little boys. They are 6'11", and the oldest one's 6'11". His little brother is 6'9". So we're just big people, is what we are. And when you have the kind of lifestyle that I have, which is sedentary, you just sit in chairs and you study and you do these things and so on. It doesn't leave a lot of time for the right amount of physical activity to try to keep your weight down and so on. And there's some people who they eat normally. They don't just gorge themselves every time they sit down to a meal. They just eat normally. But I have a theory about American processed foods. I have a theory about it. I don't think it's good for you. Okay, I don't think it's good for you. After going over to Kenya and seeing the food stock that they have over there, there's a lot of processed foods in stores and things like that. Out in Western Kenya, they grow a lot of their own food. They raise it themselves, like our forefathers did in this country not too long ago. They grow a lot of maize, corn, but I noticed the chickens in Kenya. The chickens. One of my favorite places to eat in Kenya is Kinchik. And I got to explain it to you what they do. Okay. And the first time I ever thought about going to Kenya, I looked this place up and I'm going, I got to go there. They take a whole chicken. They'll pluck it first, don't worry. And they'll put it in a rotisserie and it'll just turn and just baste in those juices and seasonings and things that they use. Then when you order whatever part of the chicken you're going to order, let's say you're going to order a fourth of a chicken, half a chicken or whatever, they pull it off the rotisserie and they drop it in a deep fat fryer for about 3 minutes. I mean hot fryer. And what that does is that kind of seals it, gives it a little crisp, and it flavors it a little bit more. And they take it out and they chop it up for you on some newspaper and put a little salt on it and hand it to you with some chips, French fries for us in America. And I want to tell you what, it is amazing. It is absolutely amazing. But anyway, the chickens in Kenya are smaller than the chickens in the United States of America, significantly smaller. I know some friends, a lot of pastors, and a lot of people in Northwest Arkansas. That is Tyson chicken country. Dotted all over the Ozark Hills in Northwest Arkansas are these chicken breeders, and they are under contract with Tyson. They're independent breeders, but they have a contract with Tyson. They supply chickens to Tyson Foods, but Tyson has a list of standards and requirements that it wants for that chicken. Don't just sell us any chicken. It has to be done and raised and fed this way. And I can tell you that some of those chickens get so big so fast that they will break their own bones just moving around before they ever get to the Tyson processing factory. Okay? just a little theory about the American food supply. I see a lot of overweight people in this country. A lot. And you didn't used to be that way. And I think the processing, I think the injections, I think the genetic modification, I think all of that is one of the contributing factors to the size of the American plate, the American appetite, and thus the American person. But anyway, so I had a sleeve gastrectomy. You can even watch a video on YouTube of that being done, which I did before I had the surgery, and it has netted some good results. I'm not on a roller coaster course toward losing a ton of weight real fast. It's just a consistent loss that you'll see it over time, and I appreciate everybody's prayers for me. Now, enough of that. Let me make a couple announcements, and I'm going to get into the topic du jour. I've seen a lot. You guys have sent in some good emails. There's a lot going on in this world, some things that trouble me. I'm going to try to put all those on the back burner. See, there's another food thing, back burner. I'm going to put all that off until Thursday unless something comes up between now and then. But anyway, let me make a couple of announcements real quick. We'll get into, this is day 33, okay? Day 33, and I'll let you know what that means here in a little bit. We have received the frequency for our radio station, KBTR Watchman FM, in Samburu County, Kenya. It will be a fixed number. I can't remember what it is, 102, 101, something like that. Announcements are being made, I think, on the radio station now that they'll be moving up the FM dial. And we physically own that particular signal. We own it. It's ours, granted by license of the Kenya government. We appreciate everybody helping us pray for that, because getting something done in Kenya, especially when you're dealing with the government or whatever, it's a nightmare. It really is. And God has blessed that, and it's all worked out. And then, if you have not heard, we have struck water at the Lodero School water well that God has laid it on our heart to do that. God blessed us. God blessed us with the funds. So we started digging the well. We were expecting to hit water about 2,100 feet. That is a deep, deep, deep well. We hit water at about 600 some odd feet. Way, way, way closer to the surface than we expected. And so anyway, the well is on its way to being piped. The pipes are going to be run uphill. It was sort of down in a valley. It's going to be run uphill to like a little station. It's going to have a tank on it, so that the tank would be full 24 hours a day. And it's number one, it goes to the children at the Lodero School. There's a man that was talking about possibly doing some agriculture with it. And listen, the area is beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful area up there. And I'm just seriously praying about a visit there to see what God is doing over there. But anyway, the school's going to have use of it. The school is going to monitor it. They're going to provide security for it and the maintenance on it. But it's going to be a freely accessible well to anybody in the community who wants to go and get free, clean water. That is something that is desperately needed up there. You could send them candy bars if you want. They don't need candy bars. They don't need ramen soup. You can't have ramen soup unless you have the water to cook it in. And so they needed clean water, and God has provided that. And so we provide for them, number one, water from the ground, water of life. Number two, water from the pure Word of God, clean water from the Bible, not all that dirty water from an NIV or from these other translations. So we appreciate everybody's prayers for that and continue to pray that God will use that and bless that in the future. Now, a couple of conferences are coming up that I am going to be involved in. The first one is the Red River Bible Prophecy Conference up in Moorhead/Fargo, North Dakota. Moorhead, Minnesota, and Fargo are sort of like twin cities. They're just divided by the state line. And the dates for that is March 18th through the 20th. That is Friday, March 18th, Saturday, the 19th, and Sunday, the 20th. I am going to be preaching again the morning service Sunday morning there, and I'm looking forward. I love that conference. I love The people that run it, they're not in it for money. And I can tell you, I know prophecy conferences, okay? Some that I used to go to, they're just all about the big bucks. And these people are not. They are lucky or blessed to cover their costs every year, and they put on a great conference. This year, I was just looking at it today. I didn't know who all the speakers were going to be. Or myself, Carl Teichgrib, I like him. He's from Manitoba, up in Canada, eh? Paul McGuire's going to be there, and Chris Pinto. I like Chris. Met him one time at a conference he and I were doing together out in South Carolina. Chris is a good guy, loves the Lord, loves the Word of God. Very, very gifted filmmaker. He has good documentaries. If you've never seen A Lamp in the Darkness, you got to go see it. Chris did the research and proved that there was a Jesuit conspiracy against trying to stop the King James Bible from being translated and printed. And let me tell you something. You can say what you want to about, I like all the translations, and all the translations make me feel fuzzy and warm on the inside, and they're all the same, and so on. If you really think that, how much satanic opposition is there to the NIV, the gender-neutral NIV, which is the today's NIV? How much satanic opposition is there to the message? How hard was it to get the Message or the Holman Standard produced and printed? How hard was it? How many pastors rise up in America every day saying, we don't like these new translations? How many of them? Zero. I won't say zero. A few. How many pastors, how many churches will you not see a King James Bible in? A lot of them. That Bible has been fought against ever since its inception in 1604. Anyway, it's a great documentary. Chris is a good guy, and we look forward to being there. That's March 18th through the 20th. And then Harrison, Arkansas, March 31st through April the 2nd. March 31st is a Thursday. It goes all day Friday, Saturday morning. Pastor Charlie Jameson, one of my good friends. I love him. He's got tremendous wisdom. Will be preaching at 9 o'clock that morning, and then 10 o'clock Saturday, April the 2nd. They give me 2 hours on Saturday, and I love that. I thank God for it. That's one of my favorite places to go. It's some good guys. I mean, some good guys that love the Lord. They love the Word of God. And I have been a part of that conference, I think, ever since 2000. And so anyway, we're looking forward to going down there and be with Brother Lonnie and some of the other good people that we know down there. Brother Mike Hutzel's usually there, and so on. So anyway, mark those down on your calendar, and I'm going to continue to promote those. If you can be at one or both, that would be great, and we look forward to seeing you there. All right, here is an item in from the newsroom. Here we go. Ready? I got some new sound effects. Okay, and as I'm going through the material already this morning, I realize that some of the old sound effects did not make it to the new soundboard. I don't have them. I don't have the little drums that, when I tell a joke, I don't have that. I do have, got that one. Let me turn it up a little bit. There we go. I got that one. Let's see here. There's the newsroom. Yep, this just in. Flash. Let's see here. Here's one you haven't heard yet. Here we go. Ready? Yeah, that works. How about, I don't want to give all of them away. Here, let's see here. I got the buzzer for a wrong answer. I've got the ding for a right answer. Okay. But I don't have my drums. I don't have anything. I'll have to put that on there later. That's what I spent my time doing last week. Anyway, news flash. Ready? February the 2nd. Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania. The handlers of Pennsylvania's most famous groundhog, Punxsutawney Phil, says the furry rodent has failed to see his shadow, meaning he has, quote-unquote, predicted an early spring. Members of the top hat wearing inner circle announced the, quote, forecast at sunrise just before 7:30 a.m. today, which is February 2nd. It is also something else. I'll tell you in a minute. German legend has it that if a furry rodent sees a shadow on February 2nd, winter will last another 6 weeks. If not, spring comes early. I remember hearing about this when I was a kid. They would come on February 2nd. You could hear the radio announcers talking about the groundhog did not see a shadow. The groundhog saw a shadow. And, you visualize that as a child. You visualize this groundhog coming out and going, where's my shadow? I don't see it anywhere. I didn't know that there was a bunch of guys dressed up like Freemasons going to a ball with these big top hats and everything like that. They actually make that up every year. They do. They make that up. And everybody in America, and I don't know where else they do this. Everybody in America is going, well, I guess we're going to have 6 more weeks of winter, or it looks like we're going to have an early spring. And they talk about it like this was some big scientific revelation that just came from the National Weather Service. No, these guys make this stuff up. It's from an old German legend. The furry rodent has to see. How do you know? How do you know? Let's go back 300 years in Germany. How in the world would anybody know whether or not the groundhog saw his shadow? How do you know that? No way in the world you can know that. It's made up. It's based, where do we get it from? It's based on something. And in fact, I'll just do this. If you have ever seen this movie, Groundhog Day, the first time I watched it, I went, okay, I think I get that. I think I get that. The movie came out in the 90s. Bill Murray. It's a funny movie. Bill Murray, back in that day when he was clean, there was some funny lines in that movie. The famous scene is the idea of the movie Groundhog Day is Bill Murray is this Pittsburgh weatherman or Philadelphia weatherman, one of the two, that gets shipped, and he's very egocentric. He's very hateful to people, condescending. They send him out to Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania every year. He hates it. He hates the people he works with. He thinks he's wasting his talent. He's that kind of guy. And he goes out and does the little groundhog thing in front of the guys with the top hats, and then I got to get out of town. Well, he gets stranded in snow leaving, and so he's got to come back to the bed and breakfast that he stayed in the night before. And when he wakes up the next day, he realizes that everything from the previous day is repeating. Same song on the radio, same things on the guys are saying. Then he starts running into people, and they're all saying the same things they did yesterday. He realizes that he's reliving Groundhog Day again. And so there's that famous shot. I think they use it in the trailer of Bill Murray standing there going, well, he's confused. It's Groundhog Day again. And it's just over and over. And what the theme of the movie is, Groundhog Day keeps repeating over and over and over again. And it doesn't matter what he does. At certain points, he tries killing himself. He gets in the bathtub, drops an electric toaster down into it, and electrocutes himself. Not my favorite way of dying, by the way. I'll just tell you that, okay? And I need my drums. I don't have my drums. But anyway, and it doesn't matter what he does. Drives this truck off a cliff. He steals Punxsutawney Phil. He goes to jail. Doesn't matter. He always wakes up the next day being the same day, February 2nd, Groundhog Day, and he's got to relive it. But he's getting smarter. As the day goes on, and as these days keep repeating himself, he gets smarter. And then he starts figuring out what he can do with that day. And the women that he can be with. And the things that he can steal. And the things that he can get away with. And at one point, there's this scene in the restaurant where he's talking to, who is that? Andie MacDowell. He's talking to her, and he says, I'm a god. Not the God, but a God. He declares to her that he's a God. Now, that, in the background of the theme of the movie and Bill Murray's comedy, you would say, yeah, I can see him saying that. But it just stands out as being a lot more significant. Because what we find out as he keeps reliving this day over and over and over, and I don't know that there's actually a count. I watched it one time trying to count how many days it revolved back around on itself, and you just kind of lose track. But anyway, he learns how to not only play but master the piano. He starts going about doing good deeds, and then he realizes that he is falling in love with his partner there, Andy McDowell. And she gets prettier all the time, and he's trying to get in with her and trying different things every day, and so on and so on and so on until this epiphany takes place, this awakening, this eureka moment takes place with him, and now all of a sudden he is the perfected man. He came, and I want you to follow this. He comes from this low state of being bullish, egotistical, condescending, sort of primal. It's all about me and what I can do for myself. Then you see the transformation of him becoming more benevolent, using his God powers to actually try to save people's lives and to bring them better things. And then at the very last day, he bags the chick. Okay, that's what. And I want you to catch that. That's what breaks the spell. When that takes place, you're looking at Hyros Gamos, sacred marriage, sons of God, daughters of men. That's what you're seeing here. Okay, and they don't actually show the bad stuff or whatever, but it's just the idea that that's what happens. So when that happens, it breaks the spell, and he's allowed to go on with his life. But he's become a god now. And I want you to follow this, because it's something I just caught today. I never saw this before. But here's a scene from Groundhog Day. Bill Murray standing there. And notice that microphone back there. This is, all the ongoings of Punxsutawney Phil. All the guys in the top hats are on the stage and everything. See that microphone back there? I never noticed this until today, okay? Let me show you what it is. It's a number 33. Channel 33, okay? I'm sure there's plenty of those around the country, all right? But that's significant, because Groundhog Day, February the 2nd, is the 33rd day of the year. That in itself places, I think, a significance upon what that date means. Why are we doing Groundhog's Day? Why do we do all that? And the idea of winter turning into spring, it's the theme of death to life. In cultures, not only cultures around the world, but you can even look at it biblically that way. Because winter is always a time of death and darkness, and where'd the sun go? And then we are coming back around to that time of spring when life sort of brings out and so on. And February the 2nd, or Groundhog Day, is actually based upon a pagan theme that is related to that of something that was dead is going to rise up again into a new life. Now, some of you say, yeah, okay, I know that 33, that's the number for Masons, things like that. Yeah, we're going to look at that. But this particular day, February 2nd, the 33rd day of the year, happens to be, in paganism, in Wicca and things like that, one of the unholy days that they practice. They light candles. They have pagan rituals around fires and all kinds of weird stuff, all right? And this particular version of it, Imbolc, is of like Celtic and Irish origin. And so there's a lot of things that are related to that are brought into it. But here is something I found on what Imbolc is. Imbolc is this particular day. It's one of the cross-quarter days. I'll explain that in a little bit. Imbolc means in the belly. This is what I'm reading from right here. And I want you to think about that. It means in the belly. Does that like my belly? Okay. Is my belly? No. It's like the womb. Is what it represents. It represents something being in the womb. Now I want you to think of Bill Murray. Okay. In this movie, he is having a rebirth over and over and over again. And Every day that happens, he's climbing the ladder. He is going from a low form, step by step, day by day, to a higher form. This is like Masonry. This is like other religions where they have, you got to take this step and then this step and then this step and this step. And if you don't make it or you miss this, then you're going to go back and do it again or whatever. It's like missing the base in baseball. If you don't touch first base, Mark McGwire, you do not get the home run counted. Okay, some of you know what that means. Anyway, but that's the idea. Now, let me contrast that with Bible Christianity. You are saved or you are lost. Period. You are either born again by the power of God, not by your own works, not by your own Torah keeping. You are born again, and that's it. There are no levels of salvation. There is no first class section in heaven. And there is no outer darkness in heaven. I've dealt with that before, probably will again. There are no levels to Christianity. Yes, there are some who have been seasoned. Paul talks about when you're going to have a bishop, he must not be what was the word used in the scriptures? He must not be a novice, someone who is a new Christian or someone who is young. There needs to be some seasoning there in their life. There needs to be some maturity. God would not let me pastor until I got to a certain place in life where I'd learned how to take care of a family, where I learned how to be responsible for getting up and going to work every day. That's when God started letting me do some things for him in the ministry. But before that, God wouldn't let me do it. But as far as who is able to go to heaven, and as far as who is able to read their Bible, and as far as who is able to have the Holy Spirit teach them things, comparing spiritual things with spiritual things in the Bible, it does not require you being up on a higher level. All it does is say, God, I'm going to read your word, I'm going to believe it, open up my eyes that I may see wondrous things out of thy law. That's all it takes. No levels in Christianity. Nobody in Christianity better than others. Nobody up on the platform. The people at the meeting, at the conference. They're not the exalted men who God has given them special things, and if you don't get it from them, you won't get it at all. That's not how I see it at all. One of the greatest joys I get out of this ministry is when people from all over the world send me stuff. Pastor, have you seen this? And I'm just going, ooh, that's cool. I like that one. You know what? They hadn't been studying as long as I have. And I wouldn't say of anybody, well, you're not quite on the level that I am. Okay? You're not quite on the level. Once you get up a little bit higher toward me, then you might understand these things. And I've had some of you report to me that you were at some church and they were having these manifestations. And one lady said, I went to the mistress of the church. Well, how come I didn't speak in tongues? Well, you're not up to the level that we are. Phooey on that nonsense. Where's my buzzer? There we go. Phooey on that. Anyway, so it's about attaining godhood through initiations, through levels, through higher steps, a higher order of things like that. Okay? So in bulk, meaning in the belly, means there's something in the womb. And it's awaiting its birth. You could just take a guess. Take that number 33 and what you think you know about it and figure out what it is that is being talked about here. Down here, it says, Imbolc is associated with the myth and legends of Brigid, the patroness of smithcraft, poetry, and healing. It is said in her legends from Ireland that a snake comes up. There you go. Think about it. A snake comes up from the womb of Mother Earth to test the weather. That is one of the sources of groundhogs. It has to do with weather. What is the snake coming up? Who is that snake? Who is that snake? Okay. It's the beast is what it is. He's coming up out of the womb of the earth. Think of the womb of a woman when she is about ready to give birth. Water comes forth first. What kind of water? Seawater, salt water. And it's like the beast rising up out of the sea. It is said in her, the snake comes up from the womb of Mother Earth to test the weather. Brigid, being informed winter is weakening, appears with her white wand and is said to breathe life into the mouth of the dead winter and bring him to open his eyes to the signs of spring. The venom of the cold is said to tremble for its safety on Bride's Day or Bridget's Day, and flee for its life on St. Patrick's Day. Bridget's generosity was well known to both wildlife and the poor, and on and on and on and on. But you get where this comes from. Ancient paganism. And this probably wasn't the buck stops here source of that idea. I think it probably goes all the way back to Samaria, Babylon. Who knows? But it has to do with this concept of an awakening. A serpent coming up out of the ground to see what the weather's like. Can we go ahead and come out of our pit now? We're hibernating. We're going to shed our skin. We're going to come out in the open. Is it safe now? Has the winter passed away? Are we ready to come on out? And so that idea, I think, has fed into the Groundhog Day issue. So anyway, but Imbolc is one of those cross-quarter days. Let me explain that. In paganism, in Wicca, witchcraft, Satanism, Hollyweird, you have certain what they call high holy days. The summer solstice, the winter solstice, December 19th through 22nd, June 19th through 22nd, summer solstice. Summer solstice is the sun has risen above the equator, 23 degrees above the equator is the summer solstice. It then begins to go back down 23 degrees below the equator, so you'll have like a 46 and some change. You'll have a 46-degree trip for the sun to rise and set, and it does it every year. And listen, people, God made it that way. Satan doesn't own the sun, the motions of the sun, the motions of the moon. He doesn't own those things. God is the one specifically, the Bible specifically says that he placed those objects in the sky as lights and to give us signs and to seasons and days and years. And if you did not have a calendar, you could just about tell what time of year it was by the position of the sun, is what you could do. High up in the sky in the summer, low down in the sky in wintertime. And you could just about tell what it is. You could tell from year to year that the sun makes that transit. They have a 46-degree transit every year. I think that's interesting. So to cross that, when the sun comes up from the winter solstice, and it's going to be cross the equator, it does so 2 times a year. It does it at the spring equinox, and it does it at the, here's the spring equinox down here, Ostara, and then Mabon, which is the autumn or autumnal equinox. And on that day, if you were at the equator, the sun would be directly overhead at high noon on these 2 days. And on these 2 days in the northern hemisphere, I'm not sure how it is southern, but in the northern hemisphere, on these 2 days, there is roughly 12 hours in the day and 12 hours a night. That's what the word equinox means. It means like an equal night or something like that. But anyway, that's what that is. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 holy days, but then those 4 are divided up. Think of in Wicca or paganism, think of the 4 elements: earth, wind, fire, and water. These are opposites. These are opposites. All right. And then you cross those 4 with 4 more. Samhain, which is Halloween, October 31st. Luna Savre, something like that, in August 1st. Beltane, May 1st. As far as counting days is concerned, 121st day of the year, which is 11 times 11. I detailed that in the video, The Babel Conspiracy. I have a book called The Babel Conspiracy. If you don't have a copy, give us a call, and we'll get you a copy. Help us out if you can, all right? But anyway, Beltane is May Day. That's May 1st is when Adam Weishaupt formed the Order of Perfectibilists, the Illuminati, May 1st, 1776. So that's a cross-quarter day. And then you have Imbolc right here, February 1st. Actually, it's the night of February 1st into February 2nd. And it's basically they call it Candlemas and other places and so on because there's rituals involved in candles. You got to light these candles and the candles burn. And we know what candles represent. They give light and so on. So it's about coming out of the darkness of winter into the illumination of spring. The sun's going to come back, and it's going to enlighten us all. Now, again, those ideologies are not strictly pagan. They're not. Because all through the Bible, we see the greater light that rules the day. That'd be Christ. We are the children of the day. He is the light of the world. He is the Son of righteousness, arising with healing in his wings. So those things there are not specifically, or what's the word I'm trying to find here? I don't know where to find it at either. But anyway, those are exclusively. There's not exclusively pagan or Wiccan. God designed it that way. But the pagans and the ancient Babylonians and the ancient mystery cults, they have put their own evil meaning into them. And it's always all about the Antichrist, is what it's always all about. You're looking at things here that are related to probably the death and the rebirth of the Antichrist. And the 33rd day of the year, Groundhog Day, that is like one of the perfect times in the world to try to get that into people's knowledge or get it into people's thinking. Now, just lately, and I've been kind of keeping track of this for a long time, this number keeps showing up. In fact, here's this, and I talked about this here several years ago when it happened. The miners of Chile, 33 miners, way down into the ground. I mean, deep down in there. You know, if you've ever been in caves or ever been in mines, a lot of these things are kind of cool. I mean, literally, the air temperature is somewhere around 50, 60 degrees, and it stays that way year-round. But these guys were in a mine that was so deep, it wasn't cool. It was warm. Why? Because they were closer to the heart of the earth. The farther down you go, the hotter it gets. It's something to think about in life, by the way. But these men went, the true story, went down into this mine, and an earthquake took place, or rocks shifted or something, and now they're trapped. And they have no idea. Nobody has any idea whether or not they're live or what. And so they start the process of maybe we can reach them, maybe we can do this, maybe we can do that. That story unfolded, and we were watching it every day. We were watching it. So then all of a sudden now, they design a way to go down into the shaft. They bore a tunnel down in there. And at the first, they're able to drop food and water and, you know, whatever things that they would need to hold them while they were down inside that pit. And I just want you to think of what we know about the Antichrist. Okay? He's in a pit. He was put it in there. He was put in chains, and he was held prisoner down in there. And when this first started coming across the news, I caught it. I'm going, wait a minute, there's 33 down in a pit, and I want to try to get them out. Hang on a minute. I think that is. Well, of course it is. And so anyway, then we watched as these guys are coming out of this pit one by one, 33 trips, one at a time. They're coming out of this pit. The thing that they used to get them out was, what happened to it? I didn't put it in there. They used this, they custom built this little projectile thing that one man could fit in at a time, and they called it the Phoenix. And I'm just going, well, of course they did. Of course they called it the Phoenix. The Phoenix is down in the pit, and he's in the fire, and he's going to rise out. That's his new birth. That's his new life. And that was the scenario. We saw this not on a movie somewhere. We saw it played out in real life. 33 men down in a pit, all coming out. The symbolism of the Phoenix bear there, the symbolism of the number 33 there. And it was just unreal. I'm watching this thing. So they made a movie about it, and it came out last year. And I was putting some of this together last night when I got home, and I've been wanting to see this movie for obvious reasons. I want to know what other symbolism is part of this, or what they tried to put in there, or whatever. and usually I check with iTunes. That way I can pull it up on my iPad and watch it wherever I go or whatever. And so I'm checking iTunes last night when this movie is going to be released. The 33 is what they called it, the 33. Okay? Check it out. I could have pre-ordered it last night because it's not expected to be out until, look at what day. Dun, dun, dun. February 2nd. You think that's just, well, now in Hollywood they have a schedule, and when a movie comes out, then it must be exactly 33 days or whatever. You can say that. I don't know that that's true. I think this was done deliberately to come out, to be available outside of a theater, to be available on this particular date. I haven't gone back to check yet, but that's when the release was going to be, February 2nd, 33rd day of the year. Corresponds with the meaning. So I've been seeing this 30. You see it, if you know where to look, you'll see it, okay? How about, I just watched this last week. I had it legally downloaded, $14.99. I have had it downloaded for a while, and I just haven't watched it. This is from Terminator Genesis. It's the latest. It wasn't the end. It's the latest in the Terminator series. You know what that is. Arnold Schwarzenegger. But it's the idea of there's going to be a computer takeover of the world one of these days. Sounds like science fiction back in 1983 or whenever the first Terminator movie came out. But it's not science fiction anymore. It's science fact. We know it's going to happen. We know it's going to happen. So I'm watching this thing, and I caught it. Sarah Connor and Kyle Reese. Kyle Reese is the one that John Connor is the hero human who's leading the attack on the computers, on the robots, on the Terminators. JC, he's the JC is the savior, okay? That's what that's all about. JC, John Connor, is the child of promise who's going to grow up and save the world from the evil computers. John Connor, in the first Terminator movie, sends Kyle Reese back. And he falls in love with Sarah Connor, and she has his baby, which is John Connor. And it's just kind of this little loop here. In all these Terminator movies, somebody's going back in time, kind of like the serpent with his tail in his mouth. That's what that symbolizes, the past and the future connected together. Bingo, okay? So anyway, Kyle Reese travels back to 1984, finds Sarah Connor, but everything's different now. The whole timeline's different. And then they decide, they built their own time machine. And they travel from 1984 to 2017, 33 years exactly. 33 years. And I'm just going, that was done deliberately. Why 2017? Anyway, they find that John Connor, who's supposed to be the savior now, he's become a hybrid. He is a hybrid of the human John Connor and Skynet, the computer conglomerate, like in the Matrix. The computers run everything and everybody. And he has built the new Skynet, and he's going to turn it on in, whatever time this is, 2017. And this particular scene here you're looking at, there's John, the new John Connor here, and he's a hybrid. He's traveled back in time so that he can build Skynet once again. Bigger, better, stronger, faster. Hang on, I have that.
Gentlemen, we can rebuild him. We have the technology.
Okay, that was one of my favorites. Anyway, he's rebuilt Skynet. He's got this time portal just about ready to work and for Skynet to go online, and everybody's tablets, phones, computers, everything is going to be online, and Skynet is going to own it. And this guy's calling John Connor's work the Holy Grail. And I'm going, I know what that is too, okay? Also referring to its launch they referred to the launch of Skynet as a child being born. And in this movie, Terminator Genesis, there actually is what do they call it? The bodification? They actually give Skynet, the computer boss, the computer god, a human persona. Starts out as a little child, and then he starts growing into a teenager and so on. And I guess the end result would be, it did turn out that way. There was a man in this movie in the future that was Skynet. He was given a body. Now think about this. So was Jesus. Jesus was a God that was given a body. This world and all of humanity, except those who are saved, will be the body of the Antichrist. That's what's going on right now. He is literally going to sit in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. He is going to have his body. It's going to be the body of humanity, minus those who are saved, born again. But anyway, it's 33 years was in there. This one, Man of Steel, the other remake of a superhero movie. One of the things that caught my attention in this was Jonathan Kent. If you know anything about Superman's he's an alien, and he falls from the sky and lands on the earth, and Jonathan and Martha Clark Kent, that's her name, Martha Clark Kent, Jonathan Kent and Martha Kent find him and raise him to be their own son, and he later becomes Superman. But anyway, his name is Clark Kent. His dad died in this movie. Look at the date. 1951 to 1997. It's 46 years exactly. I'm watching at that and I'm going, wait a minute, what does that say? And I looked at that and I did the math. It's 46 years. What is that? Chromosomes. And then last night or today or something like that, it just seemed like, I think I want to look at that. The words here, Genesis 6 verses 1 to 2, and it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. 46 words exactly. Here, I'll show you. Pull out a nice can of King James Bible. Not a can of worms, nothing like that. Just a nice can of milky sweet King James Bible. What I'll do is I'll highlight the words, Genesis 6, verses 1 and 2. Then, when they're highlighted, you press the Control button and hit D. And you see right there, 46 words exactly up there. Okay, I think it's significant. It's a new find. You guys write it down in your notebook and move on. Anyway, I think there's a match here. Now watch this. Here is Kal-El, son of Jor-El, the house of El. Jerry Siegel and Joel Shuster are the guys who created the original Superman comic book back in the 1930s. Both of those guys were Jewish. And they had to have known that El was Hebrew for God. They had to have known that. They had him coming from a planet, Krypton. You know what that word is? Krypton in Greek. Have you ever heard of the word crypt? You ever heard that word? What is it? It's a sealed tomb where somebody dead in it. When we have when something is cryptic, when the NSA and the CIA practice cryptography, it's about keeping secrets. The word Krypton means the secret place. That's what it means. So here we have this God coming from a secret place. Shh, can't tell anybody. And he falls to the earth. He's raised by a human couple, and he lives amongst everybody. And in this movie, he's the Savior. He is the Savior of mankind. He's going to offer his life for everybody else's. And in this movie, the military think they've got him in handcuffs. We know Superman can break those. But he's sitting there, and they're talking about all the security measures. And they're saying, but you have to excuse us. I mean, we're only humans, and you're come from an alien planet, and we don't know what all kind of viruses and bugs you may be carrying. You may be spreading liberalism all over the world or whatever. But anyway, he says, guys, this is what he says in this scene. Guys, I've been here 33 years. Okay? It's okay for me to be here. I've been here 33 years. That movie just told you, that statement right there just told you what you're dealing with. And in a scene before that, I mean, it's got Jesus written all over. I would say the other Jesus. The one who comes from the Krypton, the one who comes from the secret place. Before he goes and turns himself in, he goes to this church. And all these imageries, see this painting back here in the background. You know what that is? Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane saying to his Father, nevertheless, let not my will, but thine be done. He is struggling with going to the cross. That's what this picture is. And they did this deliberately. Put his image, and he's struggling right now. He's saying, I'm the guy they're looking for. I need to turn myself in. And he's doing it right in front of this painting here. He's in a church, and the father of the church tells him, well, son, sometimes you have to take a leap of faith first. You know where that's from? You know where that's from? That is from the wilderness where Jesus and Satan were standing there on the edge of a cliff. And Satan said, go ahead, Jesus. Jump. Go ahead. Take a leap. Because won't God send his angels down to bear thee up, lest thou dash thy foot against a stone? And Jesus said, never thought of it that way. No, that's not what he said. Where's my buzzer? He said, thou shalt not tempt, it is written, thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God. Okay? But even in his arrest scene, you get this image of Jesus going to stand before Pilate. That's what this movie is about. So here you have a 33-year-old man. He's the Savior. He's going to save the world. I mean, it's everywhere. So let's look at this number. Let's look at this number 33. We're going to break it down to the number 3, and we're going to kind of see what else is going on in the world with this particular number. After all, this is day 33. So I think it is, as from what I've seen so far, the Superman movie, the Terminator movies, the number 33 movie, and whatever else is, the Groundhog Day. This number's they're trying to plant this on you. Trying to get you to think 33. It's like the website 666alert.net. You see it right here. Why are all these packages have 3 hexagons on them? Why do you have all these decorative packaging things with 6s everywhere? Why do you have that? Why is it that everywhere you go, you see them? I think they're trying to plant an image inside of people's minds, get them to think 6, think 33, think these things. So let's go dig into the Bible a little bit and see what this number is all about. Genesis 33, it's the 33rd chapter of the Bible. You can turn to the 33rd chapter of the New Testament if you want to, because I'll go there in a little bit. Okay, you'll find it. If you use the software, it's easy to find out. Okay, you don't have to count like I used to back in the old days. Back in the old days, I had to count these by my hand. Now we got software to do it. Genesis 33. There's a lot there, but and I'm still don't know what all is in Genesis 33. I mean, I can read it, but I think there's something significant there, and I'm not seeing it yet. Anyway, so Esau returned that day on his way unto Seir, and Jacob journeyed to Succoth. Now, one of the things I can point out to you is there is a division here, and even though Jacob and Esau meet, and Jacob, they greet each other, they kiss, they hug, they cry. Jacob even says, "Hey, won't you come with me? Let's get together." And he said, "Nah, we don't belong to each other." So there's a split here. And you need to remember something that God told about Jacob and Esau. He told their mama, Rachel, 2 nations are in thy womb, 2 manner of people. Esau is red, Edom, which is related to Adam. Esau's red, ruddy, of the earth, hairy, smelly like a beast. Okay, think about that. That's who Esau is. Jacob is the beloved of God. Jacob is the one God chose Jacob while they were still in the womb. That's his election, okay? And then later on he says, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated. Obviously, I think talking about not just the Esau, but all of those who you could say would associate with Esau, being of the earth or worldly people. People of a beast nature. Because a beast would not ever hold on to an inheritance if he could get a meal right away. Think of how beasts work. Think of how beasts are. They're all about getting that next meal. And that's Esau, that's Edom. So I kind of see that there. There's a separation between those two. But here's something that's interesting. Jacob journeyed to Succoth and built him a house and made booths for his cattle. Therefore, the name of the place is called Succoth. There's a feast called the Feast of Succoth. And it's called that because that word Succoth has to do with building these little booths or tabernacles. And that's what they did at Succoth. They built tabernacles. And it was the Feast of Tabernacles is a foreshadowing of the day when God dwells among men. So we know that Jesus was and is the fulfillment of that because his name was to be called Emmanuel, meaning what? God with us. I will dwell with my people. I'll live with them. So that's what the Feast of Succoth or the Feast of Tabernacles is all about. But anyway, he comes to Shalem. That's Jerusalem. So we have a connection here, I think, between Jerusalem, the city of peace, Salem, Shalem, Jerusalem, the Feast of Tabernacles, the dividing out of Jacob and Esau, the ones God loves and the ones God's hated, all of it in the 33rd chapter of the Bible. Now, this number 33 is not all evil and it's not all good when you look in the scriptures. Because you'll see it in different ways and in different places. One of which, of course, we know that Jesus, and there is no verse in the Bible that says, now Jesus was 30 and 3 years old or 3 and 30 years old when he doesn't say that. But if you look at the four gospel accounts and you follow the feasts, and follow the historical record given to you in the gospels, we know that Jesus, we know for a fact that he was 30 when he began his ministry. And then you start counting Passovers. Okay, so now it looks like he's 33 years old when he goes to the cross. Let's go to the 33rd book of the Bible. I like this one. Micah chapter 5. But thou, Bethlehem Ephratah, though thou be little among the thousands of Judah, yet out of thee shall he come forth unto me that is to be ruler in Israel, whose goings forth have been from old, from everlasting. I want you to look at that very, very carefully. Does it really matter what translation of the Bible you read and glean your knowledge of who God is and who Christ is? Does it really matter? Yes, it absolutely matters, and I'll show you why in a minute. The King James Bible gets it right, nails it, whose goings forth have been from old, from everlasting. What does that mean to you? It means that the one who's going to be born in Bethlehem, who's going to come out of Bethlehem, did not just originate in Bethlehem. He's always been and is and always will be. That's what that word means, everlasting. Doesn't matter how far back you go, doesn't matter how far forward you go, it's infinite. That's how long Jesus has been around. He's God. I always was, I am, and I shall be. And that is the exact place when Herod began to inquire, because Herod was going to try to make it like, I'd like to meet this Jesus. Yeah, I think Jesus would be cool to meet. I'd like to worship him is what I'd like to meet. And inside he's going, I'm going to eat his liver with fava beans. Okay, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to kill that kid as soon as I find out where he is. So he asked the wise men, the scribes, where is he going to be born? When he had gathered all the chief priests and scribes of the people together, he demanded of them where Christ should be born. And they said unto him, in Bethlehem of Judea, for thus it is written by the prophet. Which I'm going to throw in here. If you're going to get prophecies, get them from the Bible. That way you're not wrong and don't look stupid. Okay? Anyway. And thou, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, art thou not the least among the princes of Judah? For out of thee shall come a governor that shall rule my people Israel. So they went to, guess where? 33rd book of the Bible. That's where they found that out, that he was going to be born in Bethlehem. Now, remember this. King James nails it. Whose goings forth have been from old, from everlasting. Where did he originate? He didn't. He's always been and always will be. Here's your problem. Your NIV's got a different Jesus in it. Because your NIV says, whose origins are from old, from ancient times. His origin? That means he had a starting place. That means that there was a time when he was not. That means that there was a time when Jesus didn't exist. He wasn't alive. And anything that has a beginning has an end. And Jesus, the one in the King James, does not. This Jesus in the NIV, this prophecy is not concerning the real Jesus, because he did not have an origin. See, it's important, because there's always a debate, especially with social media and Facebook and YouTube. And quit getting your theology from Facebook. I got a new one. Ready? Quit getting your theology from YouTube. Quit getting your theology from Facebook. Get your theology from the Bible. Evil men and seducers are waxing worse and worse, people. And they are deceiving people all over the place. I can't keep up with it. Quit believing all that stuff that people put out there that is not true. So people will tell you. Finis Dake wrote. Finis Dake's probably one of the stupidest men I have ever read in my life concerning Christian thought. Guy was an ignoramus. He said that Jesus wasn't Christ until he was born Christ in Bethlehem. But before that, he wasn't Christ. And before that, listen what he says. Before Jesus was born in Bethlehem, he was not the Son of God. That's what he said. That's what Finis Dake said. And I went, well, you're an idiot. What did they see in the fiery furnace? The fourth is like the Son of God. So he had an answer for that. Jesus never made an appearance in the fiery furnace. That was an angel from heaven who was like a son of the... And I'm just going, there's something wrong with you. You see, people are going to try to trip you up into a doctrine that says Jesus was something other than who he really is. Jesus was not God, or Jesus was not the Son of God, or Jesus was not the Christ, or what Jesus did not pre-exist. They're going to try to tell you all these things. And if you don't have a King James, you don't have a shield of faith. They're going to lob fiery darts at you of false doctrine, and if your shield is not intact, you will not be able to withstand it. You'll believe it. By the way, that not only applies to those wielding false translations of the Bible. It also applies to those who say, now, in the King James it says this, but I went to the original Hebrew. That's who that applies to as well. You got to watch out those people. They're slick. They are snakes in the grass is who they are. I watched a video from one yesterday. I just shook my head. Anyway, that's the wrong Jesus. Here's another number 33, Exodus 33. Verse 20, he said, thou canst not see my face. Remember, this is Moses. He's up on the mountain with God. He wants to see God's face. God says, you cannot see my face and live. You can't see my face until New Jerusalem time. Then you can see my face. Thou canst not see my face, for there shall no man see me and live. And the Lord said, behold, there is a place by me, and thou shalt stand upon a rock. And it shall come to pass, while my glory passeth by, that I will put thee in a clift of the rock, and will cover thee with mine hand while I pass by. And I will take away mine hand, and thou shalt see my back parts, but my face shall not be seen. Oh, look, I have a picture of back parts. The human spine. You know it. It's got 33 bones in it. By the way, this is Exodus 33. Okay? And see, here's the beauty of it. In the Old Testament, his face is covered. In the New Testament, Revelation, his face is revealed and we can see his face. Isn't that glorious? And I love that. Okay? Anyway, 33 words. Look at here. Look at here. Go to Psalm 117. Take your Bible. Open it up to Psalm 117. And when you look at it, you are looking at the exact center chapter of your Bible. There is an equal, you can do this with the software. 1,189 chapters total in the Bible. If you divide that by 2, you're going to get an uneven number. You're going to get one with a decimal on it. Okay? 595 and a half. Okay, is what you get. So that means you got 594 chapters on one side of Psalm 117, 594 chapters on the other side. An equal amount on both sides with one chapter in the middle. And this chapter has 2 verses. And isn't that cool? It's like rightly divided. It just is. Okay? Which basically means that your Bible has a spine. There's an equal half on one side, equal half, just like me. I have a spine. Unlike a lot of pastors nowadays. I have a spine. I say things that have to be said. I don't like it sometimes. I cry over it. I'm afraid of people, but I got to say stuff. And there's an equal part on one side of me as there is on the other. You want me to prove it? Look at here. I got 2 hands, 1, 2. Okay? 5 fingers here, 5 fingers here. 27 bones here, 27 bones here. Equal amount on each side. That's your Bible. Psalm 117. 2 verses in it. 33 words total. Praise the Lord, all you nations. Praise him, all you people, for his merciful kindness is great toward us. And the truth of the Lord endureth for how long? In the original manuscripts. No, it doesn't say that. Endureth forever. 33 words exactly. And that makes the spine of the chapters of your Bible. Okay? I like this stuff. There is a teaching now. Now let's kind of flip that around. About the human spine. It's called Kundalini. And Kundalini is this idea that at the base of your spine, in the lower parts, okay, where your bum is, in the lower part of your spine, you've got a beast down there. And he wants out. He's in a pit. And he's trapped. And he needs to be released. You need to use faith-filled words to release him. Think about it. Think about what enchantments are going to do. But anyway, you through a series of mystical adventures and and meditating and emptying your brain so it becomes a void of counsel, void of intelligence, then this coiled beast can start making its way up your 33 bone. Think of the 33 miners down in the pit, people. It's the same idea. It's going to rise up, activate your pineal gland. When your pineal gland is activated, it's because the lights go off at night and your inner eye, your pineal gland, is not detecting light anymore, so it's activated, which means it's releasing this hormone that makes you go to sleep. And in the morning when the sun comes up, and your thin eyelids start seeing that sunlight through there, and it goes to that middle eye of your brain, the pineal gland, it deactivates when light's around. And let me tell you something, people. The light is quickly fading in this world. I'm talking about the light of the Word of God. It is quickly fading in this world. And some people's going to get activated here before too long. You just mark it down. But see, there's that number there, 33. That beast is going to ascend up from the pit down in your bum, rise up to 33, activate your third eye so that you are awake, but now you're asleep. Okay? You're conscious, but now you're unconscious. See, they turn things upside down. Look at this. In the Sephiroth, the tree of life, there are 10 circles, which they refer to as like the 10 divine beings. Think of 10 kings. Think of the fourth kingdom with 10 toes. Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, also on this tree, there are these little paths here. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 22 of them. When you add the 22 paths, which is Hebrew alphabet, DNA, amino acids, when they are mixed with, are you catching this? The 10 divine beings of the fourth kingdom and the 10 toes, the 10 horns, when they're joined together, they make the 32 together. 10 plus 22 is 32, right? There's something missing, something secret, something, I got a sound effect for that. Something. Okay? It's a secret. Shh. Can't tell anybody. There's a secret circle, a secret divine being hidden here called Da'ath, knowledge. 32, and then when the secret's revealed, how many do you have? 33. By the way, this is the exact same graphic. Where can I point? Right there. There it is, right there. This is the exact same graphic that Jim Staley uses, or used before he went to prison. I don't know if he still uses it now while he's, hopefully, and I mean this, hopefully, while Jim Staley's in prison, God will beat him over the head with the King James Bible, make him read it, make him realize how wrong he was, telling everybody to go keep the law, to go back to Mount Sinai and be under that covenant. Hopefully somebody wakes him up. But I suspected for quite a while that these Hebrew roots people were getting their stuff from Jewish Kabbalah, and they are. There isn't a doctrinal idea that they have that doesn't come from Jewish mysticism. Jewish mysticism is all about this hidden 33rd circle here that's going to be revealed one of these days. That's what it's all about. That and the hokey pokey. Oh, I want to have drums. Okay, let's see here. What can I have here? What can I have? What would be good for drums?
Right on!
No, not that one. How about this one? Maybe I can use that one. All right, 33 words here. I like this one. One of our watchers sent this to me. See, you don't have to be as high up as I am or as low down as I am to get some cool stuff from the Bible. You don't have to be that. You just got to be somebody who believes it. Okay? You don't have to understand it all. Just be somebody that believes it. The Spirit of the Lord shall rest upon him, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and of the fear of the Lord. Exactly 33 words in that. And what is that? That's the rod, the stem of Jesse, those are the 7 spirits of God that are in Jesus Christ. They were prophesied, foretold, and Jesus has those 7. You see him in Revelation 5. He's got 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits of God. He has them in him and with him. This book is the Word of God, and it is the Spirit of God. And it is Christ. It is the Holy Spirit. It is God. You cannot separate the written Word of God from who God is. You cannot do it. 33 words there. So now think about that. Flip it upside down. Instead of, here's Christ with 7 horns, which are the 7 spirits of God. It's like the 7 locks of Samson's hair. They represented the 7 spirits of God. That's why when Samson had them shaved off, where did his power go? Did you catch that? Where is your power, people? If you let the devil shave off your locks, where is your power? Where is your strength? You don't have any. You have 0. You have no power to stand against your enemy if you let the devil shave off the 7 spirits of God out of your life. Don't let him do it, because he's got his scissors every day. Reg Kelly preached a good message on that called Haircuts from Hell. If you ever find it, listen to it. I've got it somewhere. But anyway, flip that upside down now, because remember, the beast has what? 7 heads. 7 abominations. The 7 planets. 7, and all you got to do is look at the spirits of the 7 spirits here and get the opposite of the Spirit of the Lord. What's the opposite of that? The Lord is his name. The Antichrist has a different name. He's going to come in a different name. The spirit of wisdom, well, that would be foolishness. Spirit of understanding, that would be ignorance, and so on. I like this one. If you do the genealogy in the Bible, it's real easy to do. From Adam to Abraham, you have 20 generations. Abraham would be generation 20 from Adam. Isaac is 21. Jacob is 22. Judah is 23. So from here in Ruth chapter 4, we have the lineage of Judah starting at Pharez. Pharez, Hezron, Ram, Abinadab, Nahshon, Salmon, Boaz, Obed, Jesse, David. 10 here. 10 generations here. So that makes David The 33rd from Adam. He's the king. Okay? He's the king of all Israel. Isn't that beautiful? Jesus is going to inherit his father's throne. That's why I think David was 33. By the way, here's Jesus, and Herod called him king of the Jews at his birth. And then what did they write over his cross? This is Jesus of Nazareth, king of the Jews. 33 years later, he's still king of the Jews. I love this. And here's David, 33rd from Adam, who is the king of all Israel. He's a foreshadowing of Jesus Christ, by the way. And by the way, it's better than that. David not only a foreshadowing of Christ the king, he's a foreshadowing of Christ the killer who kills all of his enemies so that we can have peace. Remember why God would not let David build the temple? He had blood on his hands. David's job was not to build a temple. David's job was to put down the enemies, and that's what he did. He was a mighty warrior. And here's Jesus, and what he's doing on the cross, he's destroying his enemies. 33. He's the creator. John chapter 1, verse 3 says, all things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. Ephesians 3:9, and make all men see what is the fellowship of the mystery, which from the beginning of the world hath been hid in God, who created all things by Jesus Christ. Jesus is the creator. Now, I like this part here. Here's the Fibonacci spiral. And the sequence is, see these two numbers here. When you add them together, the next number in the sequence is the sum of the previous two. So 1 plus 1 is 2. So now this number here is going to be the sum of the previous two numbers. 2 plus 1 is 3. Here, 5. Go to the previous 2. 3 plus 2 is 5. 8. 5 plus 3 is 8. 13. 8 plus 5 is 13. So let's add those together. 1 plus 1 is 2. Plus 2 is 4. Plus 3 is 7. Plus 5 is 12. Plus 8 is 20. Plus 13 is 33. And it's cool. In fact, I better not say it. This swirl is in creation. It's a very beautiful, aesthetic. We like this curl. We probably never paid much attention to it, but it's everywhere. Okay, kids listening to me, go flush your toilet right now and watch it spiral. And say, God created that. That's cool, Mom. Okay? Here's the whirlwind. God speaketh out of the whirlwind. And here's something I noticed, that all these spirals in nature usually tail off at the same. They don't just keep going infinitely. They start and they tail off. They start and they tail off. Here it is. Start and they tail off. It starts here and it just kind of tails off after even the ram's horn, even the wave. Okay? You're looking at 33. If you were to put the ratio numbers into each one of these spirals, you're going to see the number 33 when you add them all together. Isn't that beautiful? Anyway, I keep, there's something in my mind, and I better not say it because I don't know what it means. Okay, but this is the sum is 33. And it's a very, very beautiful arrangement. There's architecture built in the Fibonacci ratio, Fibonacci sequence. Your hand, my fingers, parts of my body, my ear, the swirl in the back of my head, where my hair is slowly but surely fading away. It's a Fibonacci spiral, same spiral, and it starts and tails off in the exact same way as these do. Okay. Anyway. And then we get to the cross, and with him they crucified two thieves, the one on his right hand, the one on the other on his left. And the scripture was filled, which saith, he was numbered with the transgressors. Now think of that number 33. Okay? I have here a copy of, this is actually Mackey's Encyclopedia of Freemasonry. And I was just doing some reading before the broadcast today on the 33rd degree of Masonry. The Sovereign Grand Inspector General, the 33rd and last degree of the ancient and accepted Scottish Rite. It's the 33rd degree. That number 33 in Masonry, I don't think that's Jesus. I think it's the man of sin. And if you think about it, we know what Colossians said. We know that when Christ was on the cross, he was showing the defeat of his enemies on the cross. He was defeating death in his death. He was defeating our shame of sin by his nakedness. He was numbered with the transgressors. The crown of thorns, that there's a king, thorns, reigning over, and Jesus is wearing that crown. He's killing the Antichrist is what he's doing by the power of the cross. Man, I love this stuff. But that's why he was numbered with the transgressors, and that number was 33. So let's look at this. Let's break it down a little bit. Let's get this number 3 here. Let's get the meaning of it. Let's follow it through the Bible. Genesis 1:11. And God said, "Let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth." By the way, that what I have underlined here is exactly 27 words, 3 times 3 times 3. Isn't it cool? And what significance does seed bearing and fruitfulness be in the Bible? It's all about salvation, being born again, not of corruptible seed, but of incorruptible, by the word of God, which liveth and abideth forever. A seed is 3 parts. You have the outer shell, I can't remember the other 2 parts are on the inside. But when you plant a seed, the outer shell, which is a picture of the flesh, the body, it corrupts off so that new life can come out of that. That's what Paul taught us in 1 Corinthians 15. So on day 3, evening and the morning were the 3rd day. On day 3, you have everything that has seed in it. Every tree that has seed in it on day 3. So now we go to Genesis 3. The woman saw that the tree was, number 1, good for food. Number 2, is pleasant to the eyes. Number 3, a tree to be desired to make one wise. And I want you to, as we're going through this now, think about Christ on the cross, what he was defeating, how many were there, how old he was. There's some other things I'll get to in a minute. And think of the Antichrist, the man of sin. That wicked. Paul calls him in 2 Thessalonians 2, that wicked. So think about it. Here's this woman, and she sees this seed, this fruit, and it was good for food, pleasant to the eyes, desired to make one wise. 1 John 2:16, for all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, the pride of life. 1, 2, 3. It's not of the Father, but is of the world. And it's in Genesis 3. Is that an accident? What I'm telling you is a fact, that the 3 things of sin are found in the 3rd chapter of the Bible. That's a fact. It's an undeniable fact. It's not up for debate. Well, I don't think it really was. I'm just telling you that's where it is. You can make whatever, you can say, that doesn't mean anything, or you can say, you know what, that looks pretty interesting. That is interesting that seed and fruit was on the 3rd day, and here we have Genesis 3, and we have 3 things here that Eve sees on this fruit. And then John tells us, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life. Maybe they're connected. Maybe there's more to the Bible than what I learned in Bible college. Maybe there is. Just keep an open mind is all I'm asking you to do. Where is this from? Jesus was tempted in the wilderness to take a leap of faith. Okay? 3 times. 1 with the lust of the flesh, turn these stones to bread. Lust of the eyes, see all these kingdoms around here? I'll give them to you if you worship me. The pride of life. Oh, Jesus, jump off here. Surely God will come down and gather you. He'll send his angels to bear thee up, lest thou dash thy foot against the stone. Pride of life. And think about it. Think. In the Old Testament, when the tempter came and deceived, Adam of the Old Testament sinned. In the New Testament, a new Adam being tempted 3 times, same 3 ways, yet without sin. Let's hear it. Come on, brother. Right on. Amen. 1 Corinthians 15:22, for as in Adam all die, even so in Christ shall all be made alive. The name Adam. Type it in 30 times exactly. Okay? Pretty cool, huh? Watch this. So Adam knew his wife again, and she bare a son and called his name Seth. For God, said she, hath appointed me another seed instead of Abel, whom Cain slew. Seth was not the firstborn child, secondborn child, he was the thirdborn child. Abel was dead. Cain's out of it. So the lineage that you and I are from the third son. And here's what I'm trying to show you. That number 3, in this case, we know that we have 3 that bear record in heaven, the Father, Word, and the Holy Ghost, and these 3 are one. So and resurrection on the third day. So take that and go upside down with it. Now you have sins, lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes, pride of life. Okay? And the 3 temptations of Jesus, the 3 temptations of Eve, they're all matched. They all mean something. So take that now. When Adam and Eve sinned, they hand down their sinful nature to Cain, obviously. Did Abel have it? Yes. Did Seth have it? Yep. So they handed down their sinful nature, the curse of sin, to their third son, Seth. Then the lineage in Genesis chapter 5 brings us down to Noah. Noah was 500 years old, and Noah begat who? 1 son? 2 sons? No, 3. And according to Genesis 10, those 3 sons are the patriarchs of every human being from every race and every tribe and every color and every family and every tongue and every language in the world. Every human being descends from those 3. And do they all have sinned and come short of the glory of God? We have all inherited the sin nature from Adam to his third son Seth, to Noah, to his 3 sons, and we all are the recipients of that. Follow it so far? Now think that number. That number 33. What does it represent? Genesis 29:34. We have the lineage now. We have Abraham and Isaac and Jacob now has 4 wives, and he's going to start popping babies out. She conceived again and bare a son, and said, now this time will my husband be joined unto me, because I have borne him 3 sons. Levi was the third son of Jacob. The third book in your Bible is Leviticus. Third book of Moses. Why? And by the way, Leviticus, 27 chapters in it, 3 times 3 times 3. What does Leviticus deal with? Who was Levi? What did Levi do? What was his role, his function? What was his purpose as the third son? Levi was the guy who made all the sacrifices for sin. The book of Leviticus is all about how to order the sacrifices for sin. And here's the idea behind this. God's showing us in Leviticus, the third book of the Bible, that sin is not free. It always has a price. And it's a price too high for us to pay. Because here is a father now, and he's taken the prize goat, the prize lamb, to the tabernacle. He's taken his sons along with him. Daddy, where are we going? You'll see in a minute, son. Daddy, this is our best lamb. What are we doing? You'll see in a minute. And you'll see that daddy bring that lamb to the priest and hand it over to him. The Cohens, who run the Jewish deli and butcher shop on the corner of 84th Street. That's why they're good butchers, okay? But anyway, you'll see him take that prize lamb to that Jewish priest, and they're going to kill it. Why? Daddy, why we do that? Son, you need to understand. When you do something wrong, you think you get away with it, but I'm telling you, it's always got a price tag attached to it. It's always going to cost you. It does not pay well to be a sinner. Somebody's got to pay the price. And God has allowed us, even though it's our sin and our lamb has done nothing wrong, our lamb is going to pay the price for our sins. People, that's so good. Our lamb is going to pay the price for our sins. That's what Leviticus is all about. It's all about how much it costs and how we didn't have to pay it. They sold Jesus. Remember? Judas, the son of perdition, sold Jesus for how much? 30 pieces of silver. So then there's that verse again. With him they crucified two thieves, the one on his right hand, the other on his left. The scripture was fulfilled, which saith he was numbered with the transgressors. What number was that? 3. There's 3 crosses there. That's how he was numbered with the transgressors. That number was 3. So you get an idea now, this 33 deal, and what's behind it. Okay, why it's related to the beast. Look at here. Oh, I like this one. God was taking me down a road one day of this number 3, and he was showing it to me. 3, and I was just looking up 3 and 30, and I remembered the word thrice. And I wept. Paul said, lest I should be exalted above measure through the abundance of the revelations, there was given to me a thorn in the flesh, the messenger of Satan. You know what that is? That's a devil. That's a winged, evil-looking messenger devil. That's what that is. Where was it? Where did it abide? In his flesh. What was it called? A thorn. You're going to see something here in a minute. Man, I like this. He's given me a thorn in the flesh, the messenger of Satan to buffet me, lest I should be exalted above measure. For this thing I besought the Lord. Why did Paul specifically use the number 3? Lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes, pride of life. That it might depart from me. And he said unto me, my grace is sufficient for thee. For my strength is made perfect in weakness. Most gladly, therefore, will I rather glory in my infirmities, that the power of Christ may rest upon me. Now, I want you to look at those words there, may rest upon me. Because I want to show you something. This is like, I just got this a couple minutes ago. This is cool. Okay? Holding back tears is kind of cool. That the power of Christ may rest upon me. What does that mean? And Paul's got a thorn. He's got a devil in his flesh. What does that mean? And he asked God 3 times. Why? Lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes, pride of life. You think Paul was St. Paul, the holy guy who never did anything wrong? All the dominoes. You think that's Paul? That wasn't Paul. Paul said, I'm the worst thing that ever came along. Watch this. In the Old Testament, the thorns came from a tree called the shittim tree. 32 places in the King James Bible it mentions the shittim. One place it's called the shittah tree. Same tree though. 33 times exactly that's mentioned in your Bible. See that crown of thorns there? You know what they did? The King James specifically says they plaited a crown of thorns. You know what that word means? They wove it like DNA. Thorns, DNA is your flesh, people. Thorns in your flesh. You got them. You got them. Well, bless God, I'm saved. I don't have to. You got them. Quit lying to yourself and quit lying to everybody else. You got them. God's going to teach you how to deal with them too. Here's where it's really good. The shittim tree is, we call it now the acacia. In Kenya, you see them everywhere, those acacia trees, okay? They're thorn. We call them sticker bushes when I grew up. We didn't have acacias in Missouri. We had some pine trees, had a lot of cedars, and then we had just thorn bushes. I hated running through the woods, running into them stupid things, okay? If you look this word up, shittim, you know where the majority of the use of this word is going to be? It's going to be in the book of Exodus. Do you know why? Because just about every stick of furniture that was made in the tabernacle, the table of showbread I know for sure, the Ark of the Covenant, I'm 100%. The Ark of the Covenant, the table of showbread, possibly the menorah, but I'm not. I think it was just a solid beaten work of gold. But anyway, God specifically told Moses to make the ark and the table out of wood, not just any wood, shittim wood, thorns. They made the Ark of the Covenant and the table of showbread out of thorn wood, acacia, shittim. But he didn't just leave it like that. You know what he did? He covered it. Right on! Right on! Covered it with pure gold. You know what that is? That is the power of Christ resting upon you. That is your thorns and your sins covered by the glory of God. Isn't that something? And again, 33. And Jesus wore a crown on his head made from those trees, 33 years old. What was he trying to show? I can kill that. You got thorns in your flesh? You got sin? I can conquer that for you. I can. In fact, I already did. Okay? Now watch this. In Joshua chapter 12, now that was the number 3. Let's look at this number 33. Now these are the kings of the land which the children of Israel smote and possessed their land on the other side of Jordan toward the rising of the sun, from the river Arnon unto Mount Hermon and all the plain of the east. So Joshua, it's a really cool chapter. It's a chapter where he's going to list each and every king that Moses and then Joshua killed to get to the promised land. In other words, there's these kings that are in all these cities, and they're standing between God's people and their promised land. I want you to get this. There are things standing between you and heaven. And if Jesus doesn't conquer them, they cannot be conquered. Cannot be. So he goes into the deed, starts telling the stories. First of all, we have Sihon, king of the Amorites. He was a giant. Moses killed him. And then in verse 4, Og, the king of Bashan, of the remnant of the giants. His bedstead was, 9 cubits of iron? Also a giant. And Moses killed him, a giant. Killed 2 of them. So while Moses was alive, there were these kings trying to stop Israel from going to the promised land. 2 of them were giants, Sihon and Og, and Moses killed them. Then Moses died. Joshua said, we got work to do, boys. We got us some king killing to do. So, Joshua 12, verses 9, the king of Jericho, the king of Ai, king of Jerusalem, the king of Hebron, the king of Jarmuth, the king of... Remember, those five were the 5 kings that they took and they smote them, and they slew them, and they hung them on 5 trees until the going down of the sun. Then they put them in a pit and rolled great stones, which are there to this day. Look at that. Think of the beauty of the pictures that you get in your Bible. He's showing you Calvary right there in the death of those 5 kings. But anyway, you just go through the king of Eglon, king of Gezer, the king of Debir, king of Bethel, Aphek, Hazor. I'm just kind of Ta'anak. King of Megiddo, king of Carmel. And then down in verse 24, the king of Tirzah, 1, and all the kings 30 and 1. You add to that Og and Sihon, you get 33. There were 33 There's 33 kings standing between you and the promised land. You know who Moses and Joshua represent, don't you? Old Testament, New Testament, the living Word of God. Only, are you listening to me? Only the Word of God can defeat those for you. But here we have that exact number. We have 31 which Joshua killed, and the other 2 which Moses killed. 33 in total. So it kind of makes sense now. All this superhero stuff. Well, he's 33 years old, and 33 this and 33 that. The minors coming up one at a time. 33 in total. Why Masonry uses this 33rd level, this 33rd degree? What does it represent? What does that number mean? Well, there's your first clue, Sherlock Holmes. It represents kings that are not good. Evil thing. Hybrid kings. Sons of God, daughters of men type kings. See, I believe that the devil uses these numbers because he doesn't have a choice. God wrote this Bible and did all this stuff, and it's like, here, devil, take this number 33 and run with it. Make that your prime number. Yes, the number 33. I'll make it my prime number. He's just doing what God told him to do because it's all revealed in the Word. We're not done. Got another one. 1 Kings chapter 20. Ben-Hadad, the king of Syria, gathered all his hosts together, and there were 32 kings with him. That's 33. And horses and chariots. You know what those... I'm not saying always, but when you see horses and chariots in the Bible related like to an army, Revelation 9, and the devils that come out of the pit, they run like horses and they sound like chariots. In fact, they are chariots. That's what they are. And he went up, besieged Samaria, and warred against it. If you go read this chapter, 1 Kings 20. Just shut me off for a while and read this. And here's what you're going to see. You're going to see the 33 kings fighting against God's people. And the first time, they meet them up on a hill. And God's people defeat the 33 kings on a hill. Are you catching this? That's Christ on Golgotha, with the crown from the shittim wood, 33 years old, numbered with the transgressors, and he's defeating all of his enemies against whom ye fight on the hill of Calvary. So, Ben-Hadad and the 32 kings say, well, of course they beat us on the hill. I mean, that's like their territory is the hill. I mean, they knew the hill. Why, I bet if I met them down in the valley, I'll get them down there for sure, good buddy, for sure. I'll get them down in the valley. So they go down in the valley, and Israel beats them again. You know what that valley is? Armageddon. That's what it's a type of. The 33 kings went against Israel on the hill and lost. So now the 33 are going to go against them in the valley. It's a prototype of Armageddon, and they're still going to lose. Already lost. And I have these emblems here. This is the Japanese flag. This is their sun god. The emperor is the sun god in Japan. And I'm watching a documentary series on World War II, and they said, right prior to World War II, most of the Japanese people still believed that their emperor was the living God among them. That's what they believed. So you have the sun god in the middle, and you have, if you count these, there's 16 white and 16 red. There's 32 rays coming out of here, and the sun is 33. Here is Ben-Hadad and his 32 kings. Here is the beast with his 32. Same thing in the Jesuit, the same exact thing in the Jesuit logo. You have 16 straight lines and 16 wavy lines as sun rays out of the sun, and the sun's in the middle. So you have 32 rays and the sun in the middle. That's 33. United Nations, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's sectioned off in 4 sections. And by the way, this is not a true picture of the flat earth. Anyway, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. You double that, you get 32 with the North Pole, the North Country, the North Kingdom, the Northern Army. Get it? That's what you get with the United Nations logo. There's the 33rd part is right here in the center point. The compass rose. If you look on old maps, you'll find this compass rose on there. Usually got some kind of decoration there. There is usually, in these old ones, a fleur-de-lis pointing to the north. The fleur-de-lis is it's like three bound together is what it is, all right? But anyway, see the CIA logo? There's 32 things here. You even say, well, I only counted 16. Each one of these arrows here, or these rays, has a white and a black part of it. Separate them out like they did here and like they did here. You'll have 32, and in the center point is the 33rd part. You'll find pictures of George Bush standing here. They always take a picture of the CIA director standing right at the center point of this right here. It's 33. And that is a match to here. You have the king with his 32, the king with his 32 here, 32 here. I think that those 30 and 2, just like, let's see if I can go back to it and find it very quickly. I don't think I'll be able to do it that way. Just like the Kabbalah tree of life, having the 32 joined together, the 10 kings with the 22 DNA letters, that reveals the 33rd hidden secret Krypton king. All right? Look at here. Okay? Then in 1 Kings 22:31, the king of Syria commanded his 32 captains that had rule over his chariots. Go to read Revelation 9, see what comes out of that pit. Fight neither with small nor great, save only with who? Who are they fighting with? King of Israel. Guess who that is? Okay? It's Jesus. The Masonic logo on the front cover of my copy of Morals and Dogman is this logo. You have the triangle with the number 33 in it. It has a crown. It has like a Celtic cross. That's a chromosome. The two-headed eagle looks to the past and then looks to the future. It's the future and the past joined together. And in this field here, this is the king right here. This eagle with the crown is the king that makes up the 33. Under his wings are, you want to guess how many stars there are? 32. 30. Think of 33 together, 33 stars. Think of that would be as a percentage 33%, which is 1/3. How many angels fell from heaven? How many? 1/3 of them. That's what this is a picture of. Ordo ab chaos. Chaos is a Greek word for, you want to say chaos? Okay, you're right. Chaos is the, there's a verse in Lamentations, I think is where it is somewhere. But anyway, chaos is, no, it's in Job. Chaos represents the pit. Because in the pit, there is no order. I think it's in Job. You can look it up. But there's no order down in the pit. It's chaos. Okay? There's nothing to it. That's why it's bottomless. It doesn't have any fashion. It doesn't have any order to it. It's the exact opposite of God's kingdom. God's kingdom always has order in it. Think about that next time you go to the church service. Do you see order? Do you see chaos? It comes from somewhere. So anyway, Ordo ab chaos is the pit. And what they're telling you is that order, a new order, is going to rise up out of the pit, just like the phoenix, just like 33 miners, one at a time, riding the little phoenix bird up to the light. Okay? I still have a copy of this comic somewhere. I don't know where it is. Son of Satan. In my youth, I collected comics. And this was, I saw it at a yard sale, I think, or at the flea market or something like that and bought it. But Damon Hellstrom is his name. Stan Lee, I did some little research on it. Stan Lee actually invented this character. He started out wanting a comic called The Mark of Satan. And he gave it to one of his guys, and one of his guys said, Stan, I think that's a little probably pushing it too much. To make Satan a comic book hero, I don't think people would latch onto it right. Well, they would now, I can tell you that. But back then, that was in the 70s, and I don't think, maybe we can make it the son of Satan. And he's like going to fight his dad, Satan. And in this comic book, Damon Hellstrom is a minister by day and the son of Satan by night. Okay, that's how it works. And he lives, get this, Damon Hellstrom, the son of Satan, lives next to Fire Lake. I didn't make it up. And Damon Hellstrom's birthday is February the 2nd. 33rd day of the year. Here's what I like. This phrase, the beast. The beast. New Testament. Exclude the Old Testament, New Testament, 33 times. The first time it's used, Acts 28:5, and he shook off the beast into the fire. I like that. And you know what that is? That Paul was rescued on that island along with his shipmates, who their ship was destroyed, and they were rescued on this island, and they had built a fire to warm up, and they were gathering sticks. And as Paul threw sticks into the fire, a serpent leapt out of the fire and latched onto Paul's hand. And so Paul just went, "Oh, get thee behind me," and he shook off the beast into the fire and felt no harm. I like that story. That's the first occurrence of the beast in the New Testament. The last one is in Revelation 20, verse 10. The devil that deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast, 33rd occurrence right there, and the false prophet are. By the way, false prophet is called the child of the devil. That's son of Satan. And remember, son of Satan is a Christian minister by day, and the son of Satan by night. Think about it. There's that number 33 right there. This movie, you remember this one? The Immortals? The gods fighting the humans. 11/11/11 was the date that it came out. 33. Yes, 33 steps. And Scottish Rite Masonry. It's just like this. Here's the snake down here. He's going to climb up the 33 bones of your spinal column to achieve enlightenment. It's the same here as these columns. Not only are there 33 columns on the house of the Temple Lodge, each one of them, you want to guess how many feet tall they are? You want to guess? Okay. They're 33. You got it right. Very good, very good, very good. 33rd chapter of the New Testament. This is new for me. Okay, I never counted it before. Didn't know why. But it makes sense now. Here's the 33rd chapter of the New Testament. It's in Mark chapter 5. And he asked him, "What is thy name?" And he answered, saying, "My name is Legion." You ever see that movie? Paul Bettany played an angel that fell out of heaven, and the angel that fell out of heaven is actually the good angel. And he falls in Los Angeles. Where else would he fall? The Fox TV show Lucifer just come on. I think the first episode ran last week, maybe somewhere. I haven't seen it. I don't really want to watch it. But he falls in, or he goes into Los Angeles. Okay? Los Angeles is on the 33rd parallel. Okay? That's where this angel fell, in Los Angeles. That's where Lucifer shows up in the TV show, Los Angeles, City of the Angels. Think about it. But anyway, this he said, "What is thy name?" And he said, "My name is Legion, for we are many." And he besought him much that he would not send them away out of the country. Now there was there nigh unto the mountains a great herd of swine feeding. And all the devils besought him, saying, "Send us into the swine, that we may enter into them." And forthwith Jesus gave them leave, and the unclean spirits went out and entered into the swine, and the herd ran violently down a steep place into the sea. There were about 2,000. This, to me, is very telling. And were choked in the sea. Now, let me tell you what I think this is a type of. I think it's a picture of something. We know, according to Daniel, that the fourth kingdom is going to mingle themselves with who? The seed of men. Think of this fourth kingdom as these devils that fall out of heaven. 33% of them, a third of them. This is the 33rd chapter of the New Testament. And think of, well, it's easy with a guy like me whose last name is Hoggard. Think of who the swine are. Unclean animals. What did God show Peter? God showed Peter in Acts 10 that the unclean animals were representations of the Gentiles. That's what he showed him. So look here. And this number 2,000. It's 2 days. The year with the Lord is as 1,000 years, from the time of Christ until the time he returns. 2 days, 2,000. That's the time of the Gentiles. You know what I think we're seeing here? I think we're seeing the devils joining themselves with the unclean seed of men in the swine. And when they join together, where does that take them? Down into a steep place into the sea. The sea is a picture of the abyss of hell. I think in the 33rd chapter of the New Testament, you're seeing the work and the results of the fourth kingdom. They shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, those devils joining with those swine, ending up down in the bottom of the sea. Okay? I know I'm almost out of time. Let me run through this. These are people that have died associated with the number 3. Dan Weldon, number 33, that was his age, 33, dies in a car crash. His car was number 77. John F. Kennedy, 11/22 was the date. 11/22 is 33. Pope Albino Luciani, Pope John Paul I, was Pope 33 days. He was 66 years old, and he had an arthritis condition. It made his hands look like this. Okay? And where's my... There we go. That's good. Anyway, 33 days after he became Pope, they killed him. Bon Scott, AC/DC, highway to 33 years old. David Koresh went down in a blaze of glory, 33 years old. Tim McVeigh, do you remember that, you go look this up, they deliberately stayed his execution for 30 days. And it wasn't until after his 33rd birthday that they finally put him on that cross and killed him. Dun, dun, dun. The Alfred P. Murray building had 33 columns that made it stand up. Who is this? Muhammad Atta, pilot of Flight 11, flying into the World Trade Towers, 33 years old exactly. The buildings themselves were 33 years old. They started putting the steel frame together in 1968 and 2001. They were destroyed. They were brought down. These buildings were 33 years old. So, to commemorate the buildings falling down, let's take lights and shoot them up into heaven, because that was the symbolism of the whole thing. That was what it was all about. No, I don't say much about, was it really airplanes? Was there bombs in the building? Now, Building 7, that thing had to be loaded with bombs. But those two buildings, I don't know. But that's not my ministry. My ministry is to look at that and say, I can tell you what that means. The 33 comes down, and then the 33 is going to rise back up, because these two lights that they put in their place, towers of light they called them, they lit them for 33 nights straight and then put them out. That's the symbol. However they fall, they fall. That's the symbolism of it. So we're not just dealing with a conspiracy of guys putting bombs in these buildings, hoping the planes don't blow them all up at once. We're dealing with spirits here that are running the show. Gotta go. 33, Virginia Tech massacre. 32 killed. The killer killed himself. 33. Here's the 33 miners. The Phoenix. The gates of heaven people. Do you remember those people? Their ranch was at 33 degrees, 30 north latitude. Exactly. And they were covered by a 3x3 shout. I just found that out last night. Okay? Well, it's good to be back. Appreciate it. And I made it. I'm not all out of breath. I'm very well rested now after Sunday. All righty. Tomorrow night, Bible study. Pure Bible study, I think, is going to come out tomorrow. New Watchman video broadcast will get recorded this week. Get ready for more enchantments. Thank you again for praying for me. God bless you. I love you. We'll see you.